Yo, what is up, YouTube? What's up, PlayStation Nation? Jay Barry here. Back with another, live stream. This is going to be a very, very short one. This wasn't something that was planned. I was taking a shower and I was like, yo, I didn't do the stream about Final Fantasy, 7 stuff yet. And I got really, really excited just looking at the news again. So I just wanted to, give my little speculations or my little predictions when I'm gonna be talking about this. So what is up, everybody? Yo, Batter A, what's up? Plus Ultra, what's up? Yo, Damien, what's up, man? Star Guardian, what's up? Logical, what's good, man? Jamal King, what's up? Joker, what is up, guys? So once again, I'm gonna probably spend about like 20 minutes, 25 minutes just talking about the latest news when it comes to there's a possibility we might get more Final Fantasy VII stuff. And this is really good news for me personally, regardless on what it is. This is really good news because it reminds me back of when the original Final Fantasy VII came out. We got the original game, right? But we always had in our minds of like, who's this other person? Who's this black hair Cloud, right? You know what I mean? What let's get more backstory of Sephiroth and all that stuff, right? And then we ended up getting that with you know, Crisis Core on the PSP. And yo, I remember when I played Crisis Core on PSP, man, I was like, yo, it's just so much you can get from the Final Fantasy VII lore, and this is just amazing. And then here, you know, we come to present day, where we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. So they kind of rebranding the whole Final Fantasy VII, you know, story and characters and all that stuff. And we still got that feeling of, okay, here's the game, but you know, we can get some more out of it from these characters, like hence, you know, Zack Fair, you know, him, you know, reclaiming his role again, you know, first class soldier within the lore, and him just being alive. It's possible you can get so much more stuff from it. So there's a lot of avenues that it can go when it comes to the story of Final Fantasy VII. This is one of the reasons why I love Final Fantasy VII, because I've always been saying this for years upon years upon years upon years. You know, where everybody want to say, oh, you like Final Fantasy VII because your first Final Fantasy. No, it's not. My first Final Fantasy was actually 6. 6 was my first ever Final Fantasy that I've played. But reason why I can always go back to 7 and I love 7 is just because of the characters. The characters, I feel like in Final Fantasy 7, I feel like every single character outside of probably even Katsif can probably get his own story. You know what I mean? That's how good the characters were written back then in 1997. And it's just so much you can get from the story of Final Fantasy VII, just the way how everything is written in the world that everything is written in. It's just an amazing you know, story overall. Like, you know, you can yeah, Cloud is the main protagonist and everything, but you can also get a story from Barret. You can also get a story from Tifa. You know what I mean? You can also get a story from Yuffie if you wanted to, you know, go into her origins and her background. It was just so well built. They even went ahead and did, even though this game wasn't well received, Dirge of Cerberus. You got your own little story from Vincent perspective, you know, a couple of years after Final Fantasy VII event. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that every story is going to be A1 masterpiece of work, you know, depending on how they do the stories in the game, actually. But the fact that you can still pull from that, from the, you know, we learned about Vincent and his origin in the original game, and you still can pull a whole game from that. It's just amazing to me. That's one of the reasons why I love Final Fantasy VII. And recently, we got some news about, we saw some trademarks that Square Enix has done. Pretty much it's 3 trademarks that Square Enix has done. One called Ever Crisis, the other one called The First Soldier, and there's another one, the Shinra Electric Company is the organization of the, you know, Final Fantasy VII, which is the 3 trademarks that it is. It's kind of weird with the whole Shinra joint, the Shinra Power company logo, right? And all this stuff has been trademarked back in December 22nd, but it was made public, you know, a couple of days ago. So I'm going to show you a little article here, what I'm talking about. If you guys haven't seen this article yet, this is what I'm going to be talking about for about, you know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes per se, and what I think this means when it comes to, you know, Final Fantasy and us expanding the story of Final Fantasy. So let me just give my speculations, my predictions on what I think Ever Crisis is at first. So they're saying here in the article, Ever Crisis shares a similar name to the 2004 release mobile game Before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII, and 2007 PSP game release, Crisis Core, for, you know, Final Fantasy VII. A lot of people didn't play Before Crisis because Before Crisis was strictly like Japanese. Yo, my bad. Yo, I was gonna do it tomorrow, Chris, but I can't do it tomorrow. Because they got to come in and do my bathrooms. Like, they got to do some stuff in the bathrooms. Like, they're gonna be sanding the walls and all that stuff. So I kind of want to be, you know, watching them, observing them, what they doing while they, you know, reconstruction my bathroom. So that's the reason why this was so last minute when it came to this. But Ever Crisis, I feel per se, but yeah, Before Crisis, a lot of people didn't play Before Crisis. You can play Before Crisis now. I did have a link. I got to scroll. I did email myself. No, I think I emailed it or I sent myself a message on Twitter where it is. This is years ago too, where you can play the game on like your PC. If I'm able to find that link, I'll send it to people. So if you guys get a chance to play Before Crisis is pretty much like the story of the Turks. So you know the Turks background. See, you see how much so much stuff they can pull from Final Fantasy VII. And I hate when people say Final Fantasy VII is so overrated, because it's really not. It's really an amazing game that they made with a great story, because there's so much stuff they're pulling from here within that story. Within that original game, they pull so much games and, you know, anime and movies and all that stuff. Is why you pull all that stuff, because yes, it's popular, but also you have a good base to go from. You know what I mean? From the original game. And you know, Crisis Core, I'm pretty sure a lot of people play Crisis Core, you know, the action RPG game that, you know, features pretty much Zack is the main protagonist, where we got his backstory, his origin story, as far as who is this black hair Cloud. That's I remember when I was little, that's what I was saying. Who is this black hair Cloud? Who is this man? You know what I mean? And yeah, Zack was well received from the original game. Zack was well received from you know, Crisis Core, and even what's his name, Kingdom Hearts dude, the design artist. Why am I slipping it? Even he said that there's a reason why they brought back Zack the way how they brought him back in Final Fantasy VII. Remake is due to his popularity. They know Zack was very popular, and they can't do it with a character, and that's typical of him to say that too. I can't even think of his name. I don't know why I'm getting a brain freeze. You know what I mean? Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura. Yeah, my yo, shout out to Roxas on that, yo. I don't know why was I getting a brain freeze, because I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, Final Fantasy fan. It's the same thing like with Kingdom Hearts, with Nomura, what he did with Kingdom Hearts, right? There's a reason why Xehanort was brought back so much like that, because people really dig Xehanort. It's like, damn, they even turned the story around to bring him back, where, oh, Xehanort can meet his past self into his future self into his present self. You know what I mean? Xehanort, Kingdom Hearts 3 was really like the ultimate send away for Xehanort, right? They wanted to give him a good ending as far as for a villain. And that's why one of the reasons why I say Xehanort is probably one of the greatest villains that we ever seen of all time, is just due to what he has done in this one franchise between multiple games. What RPG we know that we seen like a villain in so much, you know, different versions of the game, like the same franchise, you know what I mean? But this villain is this one prominent villain that is just causing a ruckus throughout the whole series. You know what I mean? Xehanort has to be up there as like top villain of like all time in video games, in my personal opinion. But Nomura did the same thing with Xehanort because he's so popular. He did the same thing with what's Fire do too, with the Fire guys, and freaking and Xeon. He did the same thing with Xeon too. Because it's like these characters are so well received. That's why Kingdom Hearts 3 went the way it kind of went as well. But Zack Fair, very popular character. There's still so much we can get from Zack. Even though he had his own game, there's still so much we can get from Zack. So in my personal opinion, I don't think this is like this is not like a new game for Zack, right? But this is the remake for Crisis Core. This is what I think Ever Crisis is. And what they're going to do, in my personal opinion, this is the speculation. This is not facts. This is nothing of that sort. This is just pure speculation and prediction and just what ifs and all that stuff when it comes to this Ever Crisis trademark. I think this is just the remake of Crisis Core. But we're not just going to get Crisis Core how we originally got Crisis Core. Similar to how the remake was, there's a lot of bits and pieces that they brought together within that remake, and I feel like they're going to do that when it comes to Crisis Core, where you're going to get some aspects of Before Crisis. It's not going to be every single thing of Before Crisis, because Before Crisis really focuses on the Turks, you know, but I do feel we're going to get some aspects of that entwined with Crisis Core. That's why we're seeing something called Ever Crisis. But we're gonna get a different ending. We're gonna get a different ending to Crisis Core. Why is it called Ever Crisis? Because now Zack is not really quote unquote dead within the universe of Final Fantasy VII. So I feel that they're gonna use this the Crisis Core storyline, but gonna expand on it with giving him his own series of games. Return to Genesis. Yeah, Genesis was a cool character too. And Geo. There's a lot of things that people that are new to Final Fantasy that play the remake and all that stuff, they're like, why is this man's sword so big? When they're playing Cloud and all that stuff. But there's a backstory between all of that, the Buster Blade, the Buster Sword, all that stuff, Angeal, Sephiroth, getting a little bit more of him. And the second trademark here, the first soldier. So, Zack was a first soldier as well. Sephiroth was a first class soldier as well. But I do feel that would be so dope if we got a separate Sephiroth game, like giving Sephiroth Origins. We got Sephiroth Origins a little bit from Crisis Core. We got his origins a little bit from Final Fantasy VII. And when you piece together Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII, sandwich it together, we got what Sephiroth origin was. You know what I mean? With Hojo and Lucrezia, and Hojo implanting Genova cells within Lucrezia, while she's pregnant, and stuff. So Sephiroth was pretty much incubated with all this Genova cells. That's why when he came out, he was so powerful. Lucrezia thought this was like she wanted to commit suicide and crystallize herself, and Vincent, feeling the guilt because he couldn't protect Lucrezia and all this stuff. Yo, if we got this game and all of the stuff got pieced together, it would be so good. And that's one reason why I like the remake as well, because a lot of stuff for the remake, they streamlined a lot of things. Yeah, we got some its and bits pieces of like, if you play the original game, you're gonna get this right away. But I do feel that with more games that they can pull from the series, from the lore, people will have a finer understanding with Final Fantasy VII, this overall lore, right? So having Crisis Core remake, having Sephiroth own game, it could be either or too. This could mean that this is going to be a Crisis Core remake, and this could mean that Zack is going to get his own, spin-off title, whatever. It don't have to be Sephiroth, but I would like it for it to be Sephiroth, 'cause that would be cool. Where we're playing like a villain, and we're seeing how this man became a villain, just interactively playing it. Yo, Michael, what's up, man? Yo, Z likes fat chicks with prosthetic legs. What's up, man? What is up? Star Garden, what's up, man? Yeah, Scott Pilgrim came out today. I was playing it earlier today. I would right if Crisis Core remake is only the Switch. On the Switch. Yeah, it depends on how they would do the remake. If they're doing it similar to like FF7 stuff, like FF7 remake, I don't know if it'll be on a Switch unless there's a Switch like Pro. If those rumors are true with a Switch Pro, and it can render 4K and 1080p and all that stuff, possible you see come to the Switch as well. Yo, Quanvo, what's up, man? Issa, what's up? And then you have this Shinra Electric Company. They have a logo where they trademark that as well. I don't know if we're going to get something separate from Shinra. This could mean many things with this trademark here. But the first two ones is where I want to pretty much just speculate even more. Issa said, technically we didn't get the full story of the Final Fantasy VII universe because Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus, we saw Genesis return, so what's going to happen next? We didn't get the answer. Yeah, Genesis did return in Dirge of Cerberus, where everybody thought that he was dead and all that stuff, and that could be the answer. What happened to Angeal as well? You know what I mean? And what will happen now Well, I don't know. What this is the crazy thing, which is why I think they were gonna do a remake to Crisis Core, because what we know, things have changed from the end of Crisis Core, right? From how Cloud inherited the Buster Sword and how Zack died. So those things in that different timeline didn't happen at the end of the remake. Zack is alive. Zack is carrying Cloud into Midgar. Zack has his Buster Sword still. You know what I mean? So everything we know from Crisis Core ending has changed, but we still have to see what happened before that, right? The preview before all of that stuff that led up to everything changing, you know. And it's really a mind fuck what it can do here, just because how 7 remake has ended. Is really a lot can go from here, because you know, I wouldn't expect things to change within Crisis Core as far as like did Angeal, how Angeal is, or how Genesis is this the Genesis really is damn, it's so much I'm thinking about, like, yo, what the fuck could happen here, right? Angeal had to give him the Buster Sword, right? Because at the end of remake, we still saw him with a Buster Sword. So I do think that everything before the end of what we saw in remake is still gonna hold true if they did a remake to Crisis Core. My bad for the whole confusion. I was just thinking a whole bunch of stuff like, what if this changed here, right? So yeah, that is a good statement, Issa, because yeah, that would be cool to see. But the thing is, Issa, is that Dirge Cerberus, that might not exist. That might not exist depending on how the remake ends. Because Dirge Cerberus is 2 years after everything, right? So that's another good question. Yo, I'm gonna need a 6-sworded bus. Stop it. Yo, facts, man. That is a mindfuck right there, right? Like, yo, Dirge Cerberus, Angeal, Genesis. Well, we didn't even know. We didn't more. I really want to know what happened really with Angeal. You know, I know he disappeared, but is he really dead? You know, that would be cool if Angeal was to show up in whatever that game is. You know what I mean? That would be cool as fuck. That chick in the live stream is gonna play a bigger role going on. The chicken, like, he's talking about Aerith. Aerith plays one of the biggest roles in Final Fantasy, regardless if it's the original or the remake. I think she knows a lot that's going on as far as, like, you know, how she can change. Well, they already changed the destiny. Who you talking about in the live stream? You gotta give a name so I can just remember, because I don't really remember who you talking about. Chick in the live stream. On the OG, she gonna get clapped. She has to, man. She has to. The one genius met. Can't remember. Yeah, it's probably gonna fill her the game. She has to. She has to. Althea? No, Althea. That is Althea. That's Aerith's mom. I don't remember any other girl in the live stream. I'm trying to think back. You talking about Lucrezia, Sephiroth's mom? She wasn't in the live stream. She just crystallized herself in a cave. Are you talking about Genova? Only reason Genova got into the live stream because Sephiroth You know, when he got defeated. Oh, matter of fact, you know, he polluted our live stream. He said Minerva or something. I don't remember. I don't remember. Girl in the live stream. Yeah, I'm trying to remember too, man. I'm trying to remember too. Hold up, let me see. Yo, watch it be an easy answer too. I'm like, oh, you talking about her? The only one I don't know you talking about is Arif. That's the only girl I know you talking about is Arif. She became one with the planet. Was able to summon Holy. Minerva. But yeah, guys, I really hope that we are getting like a I really hope that we are getting a FF7 Crisis Core remake. Oh, I see. I remember who's this. I know. I remember this. The boss chick. I remember who you talking. I just typed it in Minerva on here. Yeah, I remember her. She's the loveless god, the loveless goddess. Yeah, I remember what you talking about. I'm looking at the picture right now. I can remember. I'm looking at her picture right here. She was the loveless guy. I remember this. Her right here. I think she was like supposed to embody like Gaia, something like that. But what's his name? Genesis. This is who he was like reading about. The loveless. Yo, Third Eye, what's up? Blackberry, what's up, man? Yeah, this is a boss. This is a boss. I remember this boss. This was hard as fuck. This boss in Crisis Core. But yeah, I just really hope that it is a, because like I said, Final Fantasy VII, the story wise, you can get so much you know, from it. And now that we have this remake, it'll just be cool to see like shit, like franchise that jump. Final Fantasy VII is its own franchise, you know what I mean? You have all these different storylines from it that, you know, you have one concurrent or one consolidated story with all these games. And I know it's gonna take a while for these stuff to come out, but I know we're going to get more news later on this year when it comes to Final Fantasy 16, by the way. But it would be cool to get more on Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. You know, get that game done, right? And then, you know, the trademarks who work on that remake of Crisis Core. Yo, having a Sephiroth only, like a Sephiroth standalone game would be so fire, bro. Yo, yeah. Yo, real talk, like I love Zack. Zack is a cool ass character. I love Crisis Core because Crisis Core is like the origins of 7, right? You know, you get so much backstory within Crisis Core. Also, it was just a good game, a good RPG, action RPG game, right? Pretty long too. But to have a Sephiroth like you know, standalone game where not only are you doing stuff in Crisis Core, but you also are doing like, you know, the wars, like the Wu-Tai War, you know, going through Sephiroth training regiments. You know, there's so much missions that Sephiroth, when he was good, went through. And then you can also get more backstory with Genesis and Jill, because those are like the trio right there. Sephiroth, Genesis, Rhapsodus, and Jill Hewley. Like, come on, man. Yo, that would be fucking fire, yo. Yo, bruh. Like, I would love that shit right there, man. Square, yo, but you know what? It just sounds too good to be true, right? Like, the more I think about it, I'm like, yo, is Square Enix really on board with doing all that? I mean, the remake did well, right? On one platform. Imagine now when a remake hit PC and stuff, it's going to do even better, right? So, sheesh. Imagine that, yo. We getting Crisis Core remake, a Sephiroth standalone game. If those do well, we can even see a Zack standalone game in this different timeline. And on top of that, we are still getting the remake of Final Fantasy 7. But yo, that's just so much games. That's so much games, right? That's so much shit. Jeez Louise, yo. That would be so fire though, bruh. Yo, listen. Hey man, say man, look, I would like shit. Yo, if Square Enix was like, if Square Enix came out today, it was like, yes, we are planning to do that. Bruh, I'm legit like going to the bank, taking $1,000 out, pulling in the wallet, putting in the an envelope, and then saving it right there. Or matter of fact, put it in my other account, because my other account don't even touch that shit. Put it in my other account and just have that there dedicated for when these games come out, and every merchandise that's tied to this motherfucker. Bruh, I would lose my shit, bro. I would lose my shit. Yo, Chrono Trigger remake, that would be fun. Yo, that's the thing, like, it's Square Enix. Like, I love Square Enix. I am a Square Enix fanboy. But when I think about these things and I speculate and I talk about these things, I'm like, are they that smart? You know what I mean? Like, do they get it? Oh man, this is so much, man. This is so much, yo. You know what I mean? It's like Final Fantasy all-time high right now, man. You got 14, you got 16 coming out. You know, you within doing all those games, you still have to the next iteration of Final Fantasy. You still got to extend that. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to ask for. Yo, Nairico with the $20 donation. You gotta keep the same energy. Hey yo, shout out to Nariko, yo. Yesterday in Persona stream, I was like, oh, Nariko dropped 20. I was like, yo, I got that Nariko energy. You know what I mean? But yo, shout out to Nariko with the donation. Appreciate the support. Stop, system error. Yeah, yo, plus Ultra, I would lose my shit, man. Wait, a Sephiroth standalone game will be insane. Like, who would be at the end boss, Angel or Genesis? End boss will have to be Zack and Cloud. Will be the end boss. This would be the fight that we never fought before. Yo, imagine that. We're back in Nibelheim. We're going to the reactor in the mountains, and Sephiroth learned the truth and all that stuff, and then we have to fight like Zack. And then when Zack, you know, we defeat Zack, then after that we gotta fight Cloud, and then we know that we're gonna get defeated. But you know how RPGs are, you know, you win, but you still got defeated. Yo, that would be crazy. Yo, that's like some Last of Us Part 2, seeing things from a different perspective, where we saw Ellie as the villain, you know, when she was like a boss character. That would be freaking fire, bruh. Yo, no lie. If that was the case, like say we had to fight Zack or Cloud, yo, I'll have to drop my controller, pause the game, drop my controller, and just like, let's take a deep breath. The same thing I did with Ellie. Like before we did the Ellie fight with Abby and Ellie, yo, I legit like dropped the controller. I paused the game. I was like, yo, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. Ellie, my girl, man. Yo, but the thing is, if we get a Sephiroth standalone game, it would have to be from like even before any of that stuff, because he would have to build up his strength. I know he's already OP, you know, but they're gonna have to make it where he's gonna build up his strength, because in Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII, you know, the times when you did get to play as Sephiroth, especially in the original games, it's like, yo, man, he's one hitting the enemies. You know what I mean? He's strong as fuck. So, you know, it would have to be like a young ass Sephiroth. You know what I mean? And just seeing his training regiments and seeing what he had to do, you know, and how godlike he was. Shit, that would be fucking insane. That would be insane. And then we get to see the whole process of, you know, them actually taking his genes and putting it into, you know, other, you know, soldiers. Yo, that would be fucking insane. Damn, bro. His final weapon would be the monstrous sword. Yo, that's another thing. You know, the origin of him getting his sword, or him liking his sword. That would be cool just to see those aspects. That would be cool as fuck, yo. Jesus. Damn, bro. This is too good. This is too good. This is too good, bro. Jeez Louise, man. That would be so fire, bro. That would be so fire, yo. Hopefully they can like see that and it's like, ah, yeah, we're gonna build upon that. You know what I mean? That would be so freaking fire, man. Nomura, I need Nomura to holler at me, yo. Did a Masamune? That like the origin of like him getting that, or him creating that, however he ended up getting in Masamune, his sword. That would be fire. Jesus, man, I would love that, bro. I would love that, man. But yeah, guys, I don't wanna you know, prolong this stream. But yeah, like I said, Square Enix, they recently made 3 trademarks. Once again, you had Afro Crisis, the First Soldier, and the Shinra Electric Power Company logo. You know, all those things got trademarked. You know, really was speculating about the first 2. The actual logo for Shinra, you know, company logo, that could just mean mean a lot of things. But video game wise, you know, it to be honest, it could be like an anime or a movie. We don't know. But video game wise, I would love this, especially Ever Crisis. I would love this to be like a Crisis Core, like a remake, where you're blending the 2, Before Crisis and Crisis Core together. Not so much of Before Crisis, but it would be cool to have some story aspects of Before Crisis, because I know a lot of people have missed that game. And then the First Soldier, you know, that could be many things as well. It could be Zack's own game, you know, living out as a First Soldier in the new timeline. It could be that, or, you know, I would love it to be a Sephiroth standalone game of, you know, getting Sephiroth. Like, we know Sephiroth origins, but just seeing that and interacting with that would be super cool. So yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, man. You know, as more information come, you know, we're gonna do more streams about this. Hopefully we get some more Final Fantasy VII remake news when it comes to the second part. And Final Fantasy VII 16 as well is coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But I'm about to end this stream here, man. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Jay Barry, how you starting all this chaos then leave? Yeah, I wasn't gonna do a long stream, man. I didn't want to do a long stream. I just wanted to speculate, give my opinions real quick. I was gonna do this tomorrow, but tomorrow I have, you know, people come in to, you know, to redo my bathroom, so I really want to you know, be there and observe them as they do the stuff. And it's gonna be loud as well, so it wouldn't make sense to do anything tomorrow. But all right, guys, I'll catch you guys later. If you guys like the stream, hit the like button, share it out, let people know. And yeah, I'm super excited. Hopefully you guys are too. I'm gone. Deuces. What's Up PlayStation podcast on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Be there or be square. I'm gone. Deuces.